All right, guys, today on the Shana LaShay Show, I have Miss Dyiah Hill. She's the founder of She Fell in Love with God community. And this is actually our first time meeting in person.
First time.
So this is definitely a divine on purpose connection. And I'm so grateful. I knew from our first Zoom, I was like, oh,
Of
girl.
course.
We connected. We good.
Alignment.
It was straight alignment.
Yes.
And she had, you reached out based on your She Bible Brunch.
Yes.
The third annual.
Third one.
Yes.
Oh,
Go
my
ahead and let the
goodness.
viewers know exactly what you're doing from She Fell in Love with God community to this brunch.
Absolutely. So this is my third She Bible Brunch. I am absolutely so excited. God is truly good. I actually started the community. Quick backstory. I had previously gotten out of like a crazy relationship, and God truly blessed this community on my heart, and I took a huge leap of faith and I launched the She Bible Brunch, and I said, okay, God, like this is going to be new, for me. And of course, I'm not a native to Charlotte. So when I first started it, I was nervous and a little scared, but I knew for sure. I said, God, I know that this is what you have called me to do. And it's a time for women to get together. And I bring together 200 women all over Charlotte. They come from other places as well. And it's just such a beautiful time that God just creates for women to fellowship and, get to grow closer and get to know him more. So I'm so excited. Year number 3, we are doing it all over again. So it's going to be bigger and better than the last. So.
Yes. And so this is going to be May 2nd.
Yes.
And so there's going to be Eventbrites. We will show you the QR code so you can go ahead if you're local or, if within driving, or shoot, grab a flight. Okay.
I know that's right.
God is moving. Travel, baby. And I am so honored that you reached out and asked me to speak. I am so excited. I think when, women come together, believers come together, there is something so special and powerful in that.
Yes,
and I
absolutely.
can't wait to see, all your vision come to life.
Absolutely. I'm excited. And yes, y'all, Shana's going to be a speaker, and we are excited to have her. And Shana, I told you this on Zoom. I remember I want to say last year, maybe 2 years ago, I'd actually found you on Instagram and I put you on my inspiring speakers list. And I said, okay, 1 year she's going to be a speaker, and God laid you on my heart this year. I said, let me just reach out and see. And so it worked. So
alignment.
God is good.
Yes. Just complete alignment.
Yes.
So take me back, with 3 years of this, what's been the highs, the lows, what you learned, what you ain't going to do this year that didn't work last year, or anything like that, because a lot goes into events,
Absolutely. Absolutely. So funny story, my first She Bible Brunch was so crazy. It was a thunderstorm, and I'm not talking about some baby rain.
Cats and dogs.
Girl, I mean lightning, storming loud. And I remember at the time, I'm that kind of person. Sometimes I won't always show on the outside how I really feel. So, we've got it all nice set up. My friends, my family showed up, and I'm thinking in my head, I'm oh my goodness. I'm it's raining outside. I'm is anybody going to show up? Girl, I kid you not, 10 minutes go by, and I mean, the parking lot is just flooded with women just coming up. They got their umbrellas out. Now, I felt kind of bad. I'm sorry, ladies, because I was it's raining.
Right, yeah.
But, raining brings more blessings. So that's beautiful. So that was one of my biggest hiccups ever. But I mean, it ended up working out. And I remember being up there before my first one ended, and God said, I told you that I was going to do this, So I feel like every event, to your point, it comes with different highs and lows. And for me, I think I'm that kind of person. I want things to be perfect, even though I know that they don't have to be, right?
Right.
But I truly just trust God and everything. And for this year, I mean, honestly, Shana, when I tell you, I let the Holy Spirit do his thing every single year. So I can't even necessarily say, oh, there's one thing I don't want to do this year that I didn't do last year. Honestly, I'm always God, have your way.
And we go with the punches.
Listen, because I'm he's going to show up and do what he wants. Even if I want it to be a certain way, oh girl, he's going to show up and do his own thing regardless of what I say. So I'm just really looking forward to it. And, again, having you part of it, it's going to be absolutely beautiful, as it always is. So
I'm excited. What did he nudge you? Was there a specific nudge or whisper in your ear? Because this year's theme is God's daughters don't settle.
Yes.
So what was that nudge to get to this theme?
Absolutely. So I would say a few months ago, I had been in prayer, and it's interesting because, the culture that we live in today, I see so many women, following what society says, you have to live by, whether it's relationships, marriage, career, in every type of aspect. And so I kept hearing God tell my daughters that they were not made to settle. And I was like, okay, God, I said that this sounds good. And, I took my time, just reading different scriptures. And he led me to read Matthew chapter 6, verses 28 through 30, and how it talks about, why should you worry about your clothing? Like, do the flowers worry about their clothing? Because they don't, and if they don't worry, what makes you think that I don't care about you even more? And so with that being said, I was just like, God, I have to remind them that they were not created to settle. And another thing too, Shana, I've learned, I'm like, settling is not in our DNA. I'm like, baby, we got a Jesus Christ DNA on the inside of us. And I'm like, God, he never planned for us to settle. And so it serves as a reminder, this year, just to rekindle their fire. That's something my grandmother, she did a sermon about that years ago, and it always stuck with me. But I'm like, ladies, rekindle your fire in God and wake up and realize that you were made for more, never to settle. That's not what we do.
Right. 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 We need to back it all up.
Exactly.
Now, how do you discern, settling versus patience?
Now, that's a big one.
Yeah, that's a good one, right?
Yes. I would definitely say, with patience, I do believe, that comes with not settling. And what I mean by that is I know that patience is all about perseverance, and I know that the Bible teaches us a lot about, hey, when you're going through, different trials and tribulations, use that as a good time for joy, find that peace, find your patience. The only way that your patience is going to grow is where you have faith in God. You got to trust in God. And let's talk about it. It's not easy to do, and I myself, I have been there where I have settled, especially when it comes to relationships. And, I didn't always really see my worth, and I would devalue myself a lot. And I said, okay, Dyiah, like, let's not do that, because that's not what God has called you to do. And so with that being said, I had to learn to be patient. I had to learn to say, okay, God, even though I might want what I want when I want it, that means nothing to you, because it's all about your timing, and that comes with patience, and it comes with growth. So,
right. Settling is waiting, not settling is waiting in the patience, because the patience is uncomfortable, but you're willing to be uncomfortable because you don't want to settle, because you know who God called you to be. That's good. That's real good.
Absolutely.
And takes me to a question I wanted to ask. Where's a moment in your life where you realized you were settling in something, where once you opened your eyes, because a lot of times we don't know we're settling in an area until you get so done and fed up or through it, and you look back and you're like, I will never settle that way again.
Absolutely.
What's one of those areas for you?
I would definitely say, going back to my testimony on, when I first started the She Fell in Love with God community, I really did go through a very long 3 years of just being in something that was very toxic. It was a relationship. And, at first, as women, we hope for the best, and, we truly want the best for ourselves. And I just found myself just getting lost more and more. And I know that God was just like, this is not what I've called you to do. It got so bad to the point, I remember right before I left, I was in my closet and I was praying out to God. And I said, God, enough is enough. I'm like, I am truly broken. I'm truly at a place where I know that I am settling, and even my family, my friends, they all knew it. And they were like, Dyiah, this is not you. We don't even recognize you anymore, because you've gotten to a place where you are settling. And so, girl, it got so bad. Like, I was feeling anxiety. I actually ended up in the hospital. Isn't that crazy? Because that's how anxious I was, And so I knew it was a wake up call from God. Like, I have more for you. But if you continue to stay, and if you want to settle, that's your choice. Because Shana, let's talk about it. Free will.
It's a real thing.
Free will is a real thing. And, I have learned, just from God teaching me, like, hey, I'm not going to force you to ever, leave something. At the end of the day, it is still your choice. But I do want you to make the right choice, choose life. And so with that being said, he saved me from that. And I want to add on to that too. There's power in prayer, because, even outside of that relationship, I would say, in other areas of my life, in career and my dreams, my visions, there are times, where we can doubt and, second guess ourselves. And I'm one of those people, because again, I just try to make sure I always have stuff right. And sometimes I can be a little hard on myself, but I have learned that, God has the best for you, and you have to trust that. So.
I'm a huge dreamer myself, the way I was raised and how I grew up. I just go big, think big. Because I've always been a believer. My mom, we didn't go to church every Sunday, but there were scriptures. It was every night, say your prayers, talk to God, build the relationship, because we had, horrific stories out of the church, right? We had witnessed things. And so, and again, people are human.
Yeah.
right? And church can be tied to the human side of things.
Yes.
But when you start to develop that relationship on your own with God, and that's something that I've done since a little girl,
Yeah.
it can be so. He's molding us, right? Like,
Oh, yes.
we see our dreams, our visions. We know we can do it with God.
Yeah.
We got it.
Yeah.
We got it. And then he's like, no, not yet.
Exactly.
And you're like, wait, this wasn't part of the
wait a minute, what?
Right.
Yeah.
In those moments, how do you wait well?
Wow. I will definitely say it's a faith thing. And interesting enough, I recently was actually in prayer with God, and I said, God, I said, I recognized a gift since I was, maybe about 13. I said, you've always blessed me with the gift of determination. And that goes hand in hand with my faith. And so my prayer is literally these last few weeks. I'm like, God, I'm like, I thank you for teaching me to be bold in my faith, because that is something that's not easy to do. And, shout out to my mama, okay, because she's a true independent woman at heart. And, she is just such an admirable woman, because she has truly taught me how to, hey, if you want something, you go after it. You
Boot up and get it.
Literally.
Yeah.
And so it's like that has been instilled in me since I was a little girl. And so now as an adult, I take that even in my spiritual walk with God. And I'm like, anything I want, anything that I know is for me, I'm gonna wait for it, because I'm gonna trust that you're gonna, handle it in every single way that you need to. I'm like, God's never gonna let me just see it up in here, and have me feeling it in here and not bring it to my reality. And so that's something that I've just truly learned to just say, okay, God, I'm gonna wait. It's a little hard now, right? Because I ain't gonna sit up here and act like it's just perfect and easy.
Right,
It's
right.
always, unicorns and rainbows. Because I'm like, it can be hard, but I do believe in that, again, endurance growing, it helps us to just find peace and find joy, Shana. Like, that's the beauty in the wait, So.
There's so much freedom in there, whether believer or non-believer, it really doesn't matter. It's about letting your guard down enough to trust that there's a part of the process, because with God, like, hey, I want you to go here and it makes no sense.
Yeah.
Will you do it?
Right.
Some people ain't even willing to do the nudge that the Holy Spirit, your conscious, whatever anybody wants to call it, is telling you. Some people don't want to do the nudge.
Nope.
To take and get rid of everything, to go to this next spot, leave the past behind. That's part of it. And then you get on the other side, and it's not always cupcakes and rainbows, because he did say it's going to be easy.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to be worth it.
Yes.
And until you're through it, then you're like, oh, okay, God, now I see.
Right.
So with your mom being, independent woman, which is another great strength, but it's also something as myself being raised by a single mother and, independent.
Yes.
It's also a guard that we have to let down, because it doesn't matter how hard we as independent can think that we are.
Yeah.
God still is working through us, and you can work real hard, but all the outcome is still up to God, no matter how hard you work.
Exactly.
So growing up with your mom being, that great sounding board for you, what other attributes other than determination did you see that or play out for you to be who you are today?
Wow. I mean, I would definitely say it would come down to, going back to a true warrior, and I mean that with just such, boldness, because, I watched my mom, she went through a lot, in life as well, but it's like she always kept it together, and I'm like, how do you do all that you do? And I'm like, I got siblings too.
Right.
So it's a lot of us. And so it's like watching you be able to be a woman of just great perseverance, a woman who never gave up, a woman who pushed through, and a true woman of faith, and I know I keep saying faith, but that's really something that God has just been, nudging at me lately. It's like your faith, it's your faith, and as well as your heart, I saw a beautiful heart in my mother, and that is a true direct, reflection of what I now have as an adult. And that's something that God always tells me. I have this thing that I always ask God. It's like a little joke that I have with him. I'm like, okay, what's the number one thing that you just, really, really admire about me? And I always hear this, Shana, it's your heart. You have such a beautiful heart, a heart that is just full of so many great things, full of love, and that would be another thing too, is love, hence she fell in love with God. Cause I'm like, I'm a girl, I love love. And it's something that saves us, truthfully. And it's something that I know is, every woman needs, every man needs too. I'm like, we all need love.
We all need love.
Yes. So
the world needs more love.
absolutely.
We get so caught up in our everyday day because we all have so much going on, and
Yes.
our own world is so crazy. I don't think God ever designed us to know everything going on in the whole world.
Oh, absolutely.
Because we're carrying more than we were ever designed to carry.
Exactly.
It's hard enough carrying my 3 kids, my businesses, my husband, I'm a wife. I got to get my God time in. There's enough in this little world and the weight that we carry. And then it can get lost that, yes, pray for you, pray for others. But we need to pray for the world.
Oh, absolutely.
Because if we're going to have the weight that we are seeing flash between, over our eyes, we didn't even ask to see that information. Now we're carrying it, because it's people who feel and we hurt with people. We love for people. I think that's our empath that we just are naturally gifted with, that God wanted us to be able to feel, because that's love.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
To be able to not be in your shoes immediately, but to be able to put ourselves enough to imagine and feel for those. But people don't pray for the world.
They don't.
They're quick to see and judge.
Exactly. And I'm like, hey, those are still our brothers and sisters in Christ, and it's interesting you say that, because the last few months I've been trying to make sure, even when I'm praying, I'm like, I don't ever want to have selfish prayers. I'm always making sure, yes, I pray for myself, but I'm like, let me pray for others too. Because I'm like, God, some people don't even, they might hear your name, but they might be in certain situations where they, feel like they can't pray, or they may not know how to. And so I'm like, I'm always constantly praying for the other brothers and sisters, because I'm like, we have to. I'm like, everybody needs prayer. I'm like, I'm not the only one on this earth. So I'm like,
I ain't denying no good energy thrown my way by the career. Hello, somebody keep praying, girl. We all need it.
Never stop.
Never stop. Take me outside of a relationship. The reality is there's low moments. This is just the reality. But by faith, because that's, for hopeful the things that we cannot see, but we have faith.
Absolutely.
And that is something that has guided my whole life as well. My reality didn't really match with things in my head or my heart, but those moments when it's so harsh, how do you continue to choose and trust?
Wow. It's one of those things. It's all about transparency with me and true vulnerability. And what I mean by that is, Shana, I have learned you're going to go through some stuff in life, and I have gone through a lot, to your point, outside of relationships. I actually got laid off from my job a couple of years ago. And I kind of heard God tell me maybe like a month before, like, you about to lose that job. It's that job.
Do you always hear one ear or the other?
Girl, yes.
I'm always my left ear.
Girl. I'm like, typically maybe might be like the right one. I'm like, I don't know about that, God. Okay, I hear you, but I don't know. So, I kept hearing, and I said, okay, whatever. And it ended up happening. And I said, well, I can't be too surprised, because I feel like you told me, but, we going to roll with the
Did we just already have this conversation?
Exactly. So, even with that, I've truly had to learn, like, okay, when the going gets tough, you're still God. And I actually made a video recently, just encouraging, women, like, hey, when those unexpected things happen, even when the expected things happen, God is still God. So even though it might be new to us, it's not new to him. I'm like, he saw those trials and tribulations before you were formed in your mother's womb. Right. And so that truly gives me hope, Shana, like, so serious. And it teaches me to trust God. It teaches me, like, hey, even though you might be going through this and you feel like it's your last, you have to know that God's got you regardless. So.
Right. So good. When we moved to Charlotte back in 2020, again, just all visions. God whispered, Roy was like, hey, we're moving to Charlotte. And I was like, what? Because we were in a great place. We still had so much growth, but we were in a great place, in it, as far as, what we had built for a career and real estate and the kids and lived in a gated community. And when God nudges us to do things that are uncomfortable, and then we get here and, the house was in a vision, the city was in a vision, everything was in a vision. And then we get here and I'm thinking, all right, I was on such a high, like, God, we just moved cities because you said so. I can't wait to see, right? This is in 2020. I can't wait to see what we got in store, baby, because I know I was obedient. This makes no sense. Real estate don't just transfer. You got to build that up, and
absolutely.
I couldn't wait to see. And that first year of being I'm a humble person.
Yeah.
You know, I being in hospitality, if I've got to scrub a toilet, baby, I scrub a toilet.
Yeah,
Do I got to
yeah.
get the ice bin because it's empty? I get the
Okay,
ice.
exactly.
Am I going to go over here and make sure that, you know, this party of 100 is good? I'm going to do that too.
Yep.
But to be back in the moment of being obedient in such a big move and things not look the way I thought it was going to look immediately.
Yeah.
And now here we are 6 years later,
Beautiful.
and what he's walked us through. It's not until after sometimes that we can really see it, but the darkness that those moments, because that I remember being at a red light and I was crying. I was on my way to serve tables at in Ballantyne.
Okay.
We lived in Huntersville. I was driving 40 minutes to Ballantyne to serve tables.
Wow.
Because I'll do whatever it takes, you know.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Whatever it takes.
Yeah.
And until real estate was popping, baby, we still had the house payment because you told us to buy the house.
The bills are still due.
Well, wait a minute. This didn't add up, God. But but being so flexible to be used wherever he wants you to be used.
Yes.
And I remember sitting there in the car, and it was just one of the darkest seasons of my adult life because I'd worked so hard, and now you got me back here, right? That's what it felt like. And I'm like, if I am this tore up and I'm this dark and I'm this yearning for you,
Yes.
but I still have hope, how hurting the world is that does not have that to fall back on.
Yep.
Because those were some dark thoughts
Absolutely.
that can enter the human mind, and renewing it is so. Of course, it's right there, plain and simple in words, but like doing it is hard. You know what I mean? So I commend you. You know, we can be so hard-headed and here you about to lose that job. Well, dang, I could have been prepping for 5 months or 5 weeks, but I wasn't.
I just know sooner, like, you know.
Like, what in the world, right?
Yes.
So love, where did you grow up?
So I'm from Augusta, Georgia.
Augusta,
Born and
Georgia.
raised.
All right, Georgia Peach.
Georgia Peach girl.
Are you a Bulldog fan?
You know what? So my brother actually goes there now. He's in law school.
Well, I guess we got to be a dog fan.
Look, naturally, right? And it's so funny because I feel like I'm like the only person in my family who doesn't really know sports like that.
Yeah.
Now, I like watching the games, but
Right.
you know, teams and stuff, girl, you asking the wrong person. But yeah, so naturally, I'm gonna say go Bulldogs. Of course, I'm a Georgia girl. So.
Right. All right. So siblings, how did that shape you? Because, you know, I only have half siblings, but I grew up by myself.
Yeah.
But my husband has, 13 siblings.
Yeah.
Also a lot of halves and only one full-blooded brother, but grew up with siblings. How did that help shape you? Because you're not, independent mama, but you got siblings and you all got to share spaces and time. And how did that maneuver and shape you to be able to maneuver with life?
Yeah, absolutely. So, girl, first of all, I always joke with people, I'm like, honey, I didn't have roommates my whole life. And that's my siblings.
And listen, if you can live with people, you can figure it out otherwise.
Exactly. So it's funny because I'm always like, honey, when I graduated college, I was like, I need my space now.
Yeah.
I said, I'm tired. But I would definitely say it was beautiful. Definitely, of course, you go through your sibling fights here and there, that's natural. And I have sisters and brothers. So I would definitely say that I'm so grateful for them. I love my siblings with all of my heart, like so dearly. And it's always interesting enough when my mom was first pregnant with my brother, and this is the Georgia Bulldog one. I remember being so excited and I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, we're having a baby, and I was so young, but I was just so excited because I said, wow, like, I feel like naturally God has always kind of instilled in me to be like this nurturing person. And even now, side note, my friends, even tell me that they're like, you're just such like a mom, and oh my gosh, we can't wait for you to have kids, that kind of thing. But my siblings had, truly taught me how to be almost like a young, kind of mother. And I always look out for them, even to this day, even though most of them are grown. I have two younger siblings. But, the older ones, I'm like, I still look at them as my babies. And I'm just like so proud of them, truly. I mean, they're all entrepreneurs or working or doing something that is just so beautiful. And so it's amazing to watch them grow because I'm like, wow, that when the day does come for me to have kids, it's kind of like, well, you kind of got a little experience, because I'm like, I have my siblings, but it truly had just helped to shape me to see like, wow, you have these beautiful young people that you have, even set an example for. I'm like, my siblings, they look up to me. They really do. And it's interesting because sometimes I feel like I put even more pressure on myself, because when you're one of the oldest, it's kind of like, okay, they're looking up to you. You know what I mean? And even, to watch my mom be as independent as she was, and, even like with my father, great man, love him with all of my heart. It's like, yes, they're the parents, but when you're like one of the oldest, you do take on like a lot of responsibility. And so it definitely taught me that, in that area. And yeah, I love them with all my heart, even though they're crazy, but I love them.
And we all got our own little crazy,
Girl,
right?
yes.
What does obedience look like for you right now?
Oh, Shana, that's a good question, girl.
But
Obedience. Wow. Obedience truly just looks like listening and, truly obeying God with all of me, and I have learned I can't be halfway in and halfway out. And he's taught me
ain't that a
like,
lesson in itself?
girl, I'm telling you, I'm like, ain't no unwavering faith around here. I'm like, you have to be steadfast. And so God has taught me and is still teaching me, every single day, like what it looks like to obey him. And right, I've been there where, again, going through stuff and you want to be hard headed and, being hard headed, you got to suffer consequences. But I have learned, I'm like, God, I'd rather listen to you. I'd rather obey you because I trust you with every single part of my life. So.
That's good. Yeah. The hard-headed man.
Girl.
And as believers and women of faith, if you went through those moments where you was hard-headed and didn't listen, it sucks to be on the other side. Because man, it's always right and you didn't listen.
Exactly.
And you're like, why am I here? Because of me. You look around, ain't nobody else to blame.
Literally.
God told you not to do that.
Yeah, and
he
you
told
did
you
it
not to go
anyway.
there. He said not to hang out with him.
Exactly.
And look what got you. Those are moments that's like
literally, it's like you end up right where you didn't want to be, and you wouldn't have been there had you listened. But
and you knew when he said
exactly
that there was going to be the outcome not the best, but we did it anyway
because we want to do things our way.
Right.
That's how we do. We think we know everything, and that's something God has taught me too, girl. I'm like, this ain't the Dyiah show now, okay? Like, yes, I created you. You have your own mindset. You're such a smart, beautiful girl. But, honey, if I say something, you need to listen. And if you don't, then...
That's okay, too. It's your free will. But
there you go. Exactly. So.
You're going to be living that other side.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's way better to wake up quickly to the hard-headedness because...
for sure.
I've seen those circumstances be where I'm like, man, that was a burden I never had to carry had I just listened. That's it. Just listen.
Literally.
What is something that you've had to unlearn about yourself?
Wow. I would definitely say to not be Miss Perfect.
Ooh, that's a good one.
And I think because naturally, I want the best, I'm like, and I know that God has the best of the best for me. So it's like everything that I do, I'm always making sure like, okay, I'm on my P's and Q's at all times. But I've learned to like, relinquish control, let God take control, because I have, again, kind of going back to learning that, hey, when we try to do everything ourselves and we want everything the way that we want it, it doesn't typically always end up being, how we want it to be because it wasn't how God wanted it to be. And so I will definitely say I have had to learn, and I'm doing such a better job. Like even with this brunch, I was joking with a friend recently and I was like, girl, this year I'm doing things different because I was like, I'm going to make sure I ask for help when I need it because my friends, they know me and even my family. I'm very much so like I want things this way. They got to be this way, but I love my village. I have such a great supported village. And so they're always reminding me like, girl, we are here to help you. You don't got to do it all on your own. Cause Shana, that's another thing. I'm always just trying to do on my own. And I'm like, girl, you weren't created to do it all. Like, it's like, it's great to be Superwoman, but even Superwoman need a break.
Right.
Right. So those are definitely some things that I'm, working on for sure.
And laying down that pride to like, I can ask for help.
Yes.
It's okay.
Yes.
Why are we always lending the hand, but yet we can't be the one asking for the hand? I mean, it's women try to do, we're carrying so much, all of us, even men. But I feel like it gets to a point where it's like we carry it so well. Sometimes it's like we are super women, but it's okay to ask for help. Literally. That does not ding us. We don't get a tally mark because we're doing an event to serve women. And
because I'm like the burnout at the end, what does that do? I'm like nothing. And I always say this is like one of my favorite quotes. I be telling my mama all the time because again, she's an independent woman, love that. But I'm like, honey, the business can go great, but I'm like, it means nothing if the CEO is burnt out. So I'm like, we got to learn to, breathe and breath work and just trust that God got us. So.
Now, have you been in those seasons of burnout?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I would definitely say when I get in those moments, I know for sure, like my body tells me first, so I get super tired, child, my eyes be twitching, like all kinds of stuff start happening. So I'm like, okay, you need to calm down, sit down and breathe. And that's something that I am actually doing a better job at too. I'm like, God, teach me how to just slow down, because I'm like, everything you have for my life, it's already been planned out.
Right.
What am I rushing for? What am I stressing about? And kind of going back too, because, again, that's not easy to do, because we could all sit here and say, oh, don't worry about it. Don't stress. And naturally, we're human and we have feelings. But one thing that I'm learning is, God, teach me how to have peace, even when the going gets tough, when my trials and tribulations come. Teach me to, chill out so that I don't burn out, because I do believe that you can kind of control, not, burning out if you truly want it to. And that's where God comes into play, because he'll teach you how to have some peace and sit down. So,
Right. Because it's like, as believers, it's just the same thing as not listening. It's like we know we ain't in control, but yet we try to
exactly.
control.
Yes.
Or we know, there's going to be patience in this, but we try to rush it.
Exactly.
And it's just like the double-edged sword of knowing and still trying to control the outcome, because it's almost like our faith can be so strong.
Yes.
Like we know we got the work ethic. We know we got the idea. We know we can do this. And yet we try, and it's like, oh yeah, well, we forgot to lay down that little control button.
Exactly,
and
yeah.
that it's going to look a little different. But sometimes I feel like my excuse is because I had so much faith that I kept working. I'm like, well, dang, God, I guess I still got to let you rule the faith.
At the end of the day, you still got to do you, God. So.
Right. I'm like, my bad. Once again, my bad. Oh, so good. Oh God. It's like it's a relationship, right? Like a joking, like I get to laugh, I get to cry, I get to take my frustration.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
It's a beautiful relationship that I think as believers, we truly, genuinely want people to realize, because he will speak so clearly, and the
so
Holy
clearly.
Spirit, like the nudges,
Yes.
the whispers, they're silent, or they're mild, but if you obey them,
Yes.
like the power that is behind it,
Oh, so much
even
power.
if it comes with pain or
Yes.
discomfort with it, it's still for a higher purpose.
Absolutely. And it's interesting you say that, because I'm like, we need to have clear heads in order to even be in tune with what God is saying. Because I have learned as well, I'm like, if you got a lot going on and a lot of distractions, you can't even hear my voice, and I do feel like God has, sometimes have tried to talk to me, but because I'm worried about so many other things around me, it's like I can't even hear him. And he's like, girl, I've been trying to warn you about this, but because you were so far gone into letting your mind run wild, you couldn't even hear me. So
how do you clear your head? Organizing an event, working, doing all these other little things that cloud our everyday life because of what we need to do to provide, or whatever. What are those practical ways of you clearing your mind?
I would definitely say I'm a huge girl of peace, so I have kind of started reading more. I always like my alone time. I have valued that so much more lately, and working out more, girl. I've been getting in that gym, Shana. So I've been trying.
It's one of those things people like. You're like, oh, you're going to the gym, you're there.
Yeah.
But it's like it's so much more than physical.
So much more.
It is a mental. It's so much clarity. It's so much release.
Absolutely. And it has taught me too to just kind of like have self-discipline, self-control, which also too really gives me peace, as well. And one thing I'm learning, I'm like, even if you may not feel like doing something, because none of us are going to always feel motivated, and that's fine, but we still got to do what we got to do,
Right.
And so for me, peace is huge for me. I'm like, anything that might be taking my distraction, sometimes even with social media, I'm like, I got to take social media breaks, and just really being in the presence of God, whether that be on a walk, if I'm sitting by the pool, or, just at home by myself,
Right.
just anything that will truly just get me in a center of peace. I can breathe and feel good.
Right. How do you feel that you're healing right now? Is there a space where you're truly trying to heal?
I would definitely,
Because the world's hurting. you know,
girl.
and this podcast, you know, I've seen this in a vision since I was a little girl.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just now in the past few months that God's like, now's the time.
Yes.
And even from the vision of the brunch, the words that God had spoke in Asheville, and how you're coming to me with a brunch. And I was like, oh my God, girl, like, there's so many things, and it takes years sometimes. And we can try to force all these things to happen because we're so confident in what we heard and know that God can move. But the world is hurting in so many ways, you know, whether that's mentally, spiritually, financially, emotionally. And we're all trying to heal in certain areas. And where do you feel like he's like leaning you in to heal right now?
I would definitely say brokenness, you know, and what I mean in brokenness is like when it comes to, you know, past mistakes in relationships, maybe even like my upbringing of sometimes, you know, wanting things that I didn't always get to have because again, you know, growing up in a household with so many different siblings, you know, both of my parents, you know, they both worked a lot, and then of course they did divorce, and so for a while my mom was a single mom. And so I felt like I kind of had to grow up a little bit faster. And so sometimes I would kind of be like, oh, like I don't get to do everything that everybody else gets to do, you know, because I, you know, have to take on a huge responsibility. But, you know, I have learned to let go, you know, and that's in everything. I'm like anything that has ever broken me, you know, as I said, I've been in past toxic relationships before. So truly God is like healing my heart, you know, and he's saying, hey, everything that you have gone through in your life that has ever made you mad, sad, just all kinds of, you know, emotional craziness, I'm healing those wounds, you know. And it's interesting because I had a prophet recently back at my hometown church. My grandparents have their own church, but he prophesied to me. And he said, God is, you know, healing your heart, healing any wounds and brokenness on the inside of you. And I'm just like, wow, because, you know, sometimes like life can just kind of be going, right? And then sometimes you don't even realize how much brokenness you have on the inside of you because you got so much going on. And so God lately has just been reminding me like, you are healed, you know, and everything is going to be all right. So
I was going to make a video about this and I haven't yet. And I think it's perfect timing because God, our mind is like you think a thought, there's action to follow, and then you'll see the result, right? You think it, and then you got to believe in it, and you got to take steps to it. And then I had this vision, a dream. I don't sleep at night. You know, God talks to me through my dreams. I've seen things, I journal things, you know,
same.
and it's a weight that people don't realize as a visionary, that we can see so much, and he does not let us say it all sometimes. We got to be very discerned about the things that we can say, but he showed me in a dream that, you know, I was basically a guardian angel. There was a Hispanic family, and the heavenly realm and the time where here you think something, you see something, you think it, you put steps towards it, you got to activate it, boom. Here was, you thought it, it was done. I was hovering over this car, this Hispanic car it was in Mars Hill, where me and Roy went to college, and I seen the car, I thought the car, I was at the car.
Wow.
So heavenly was think it, done. So how you are healed when you said that, that's why it came to me that we are on this journey, but we claim we are healed.
Right.
Because if we truly are what we say and claim we are, then there is, yes, we're always healing, but we are healed.
There you go.
And claiming things before it's done.
Yes.
You know, moving to Charlotte, well, that's sex trafficking, and you're going to take your kids and raise them in a, you know, a terrible city, and all these out things that people were saying. And I'm like, no. My God said to go.
I know that's right.
All this other stuff that people want to say because of the risk associated with.
Yes.
When the Spirit is talking to you and saying, go do something, all that fluff of external
means nothing.
No, it's
just noise.
It's just noise. I'm going. I am healed, you know, and stamping that is a powerful declaration.
Absolutely.
I'm so proud of you, and believing and being discerned enough that I'm sure when they came up to you in church to claim all that, you had already, like, it's like, okay, you are hearing from God.
Yes.
I already knew
Yeah.
I was trying to heal my heart. And now
Exactly.
you're telling me, I'm like, all right, God, you just wanted to drop the nugget again,
Yeah.
and it's powerful.
Mhm.
What are gifts that you feel like you're able, that God's blessed you with
Mhm.
that, our gifts are to serve people and to serve
Yeah.
others? What are areas where this event, of course,
Mhm.
organizing and being like, all these things and
Yeah.
being determined to do it. But what are these gifts that you feel like God's gave you where you're able to pour into other people?
Wow, I would definitely say, I mean, the gift of love,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean that in every aspect. I love to show up for people. I love to
Mm.
be there to support. And it's interesting because even with the brunch, when I see all these women come together, it's like I want to just love all of them like at once. I'm like, my heart gets so overwhelmed because I'm like, I see God in every last one of them. And I
Mm-hmm.
see God in every event that I have, for my community. And I'm like, God, what can I do to help these women? And like I said, it's always, hey, you have a heart of gold, a heart of pure love. So show up for them, be there to, give them advice and, teach them my word. Because I'm like, hey, nothing else really matters if, we can't start there. They don't have a foundation. And so
Mm-hmm.
I know that God has truly gifted me with just truly teaching me his word and allowing me to be able to just be my authentic self and, again, just be supportive and show up in every possible way that I can to, help these women. And I will say men too, right? Because I'm like,
Right.
men are on earth. It ain't just women,
Right,
but,
right. The brunch is for the ladies, but we ain't forgetting you guys.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Exactly. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
definitely.
good.
Hmm.
What do you feel like it truly means to you just to be called God's daughter?
Wow.
Because to hear those words,
Mhm.
but to believe it to the core,
Yeah.
it
Mhm.
has to change the way we go about every day.
Oh,
If we truly
absolutely.
believe it.
Absolutely.
Because our human side, in those hard times, then the
Hmm.
fear, then the doubt, and then we got to
Yeah.
redirect ourselves.
Yep.
But we truly are.
Hmm.
What
Hmm.
does those words mean to you?
Girl, being God's daughter means everything. I'm like, I got a king as my father. Okay.
Mm.
It makes me feel good. It makes me feel enlightened. It makes me feel confident in knowing that I
Mm.
have someone who created everything that I can and cannot see. And I'm like, there's so much power in that. And I'm like, I am walking around with Jesus Christ lineage on the inside of me. And, I even recently kind of learned that myself. God was teaching me, like, girl, you hold power. I'm like, you're walking around with power every day. And how we were just talking about how, like, you got to call things that are not as though they were. And so
Mm.
for me, I'm like, the Holy Spirit is literally alive on the inside of me. And it reminds me every day, I am chosen. I have been called, I have been appointed, anointed. I am that girl. I'm God's girl. I'm God's daughter,
Yeah.
And so, even with the brunch theme this year being God's daughters, don't settle. And I know that God gave me that title, the first part, especially God's daughters, because we are his daughters. And I'm
Hmm.
like, what a blessing it
Right.
is. What a privilege and honor it is, to know that your daddy, honey, it is the ruler of everything, like it's mind blowing.
And if you give them just one chance,
Just, it takes one.
it'll change. It will open your mind. You ask
Yes,
for one thing and it will be delivered.
girl. Yes, just like that. Mm-hmm.
It's incredible.
Absolutely.
Um, how do you feel, right now the world wanting validation
Mm-hmm.
and numbers and
Mm-hmm.
statistics and, whether it's my, real estate
Mm-hmm.
industry, whether it's a social media,
Yeah.
it's the validation of the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
what culture wants us to go after.
Yeah.
How do you keep your confidence rooted in, again, knowing that our lineage,
Mm-hmm.
how do you keep it rooted there so that validation doesn't distract you?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I would definitely say his word, and what I mean by that is God's word is so powerful and it always reminds me that, hey, the world is just the world. It's going to always be opinions to, our point earlier. People going to have a lot of noise in your ear and society, especially with social media. I talk to my family and friends about this all the time. I'm like, y'all, social media, it has pros and cons. And in my opinion, when it comes to God specifically, I'm like, you have to be careful with what you're listening to, with who you're allowing to set your standards for you. I'm like, one thing I have learned is God is my standard, so I'm like, I quite frankly don't care what the world is saying. I don't care what someone's trying to tell me how I should or should not do something. Now, of course, if you're sent by God, through wisdom, I'll trust that He's allowing you to give me advice. And of course, I will always listen. But essentially, you have to be able to discern, okay, what's noise? And then, what's God? And so I'm like, my faith is in God, not in the world. And it was something too that you said earlier. And I thought about how a few months ago, God reminded me that, hey, people have limiting beliefs, and they have limiting, sightseeing. So they can only see but so far, and to how you said you and your husband, took a leap of faith and y'all moved here. It made me think of that because I was like, God was just revealing that to me, how sometimes people will only see but so far into your life. But I'm like, God sees all the way to the end,
Right.
So I'm like, that's always a reminder for me even to know, like, okay, so I'm gonna trust you, not what others are, doing.
Well, and thank God, because had I known what I was going to go through for the last year and a half, and
Girl,
then,
yeah.
all the things moving here, I would have been like, well, it is
Literally.
but that ain't having faith.
Yeah,
that ain't trusted. That's
not.
you trying to plan.
Exactly.
That's you trying to control.
And that's where I feel like He gets us, Shana, because He's like, this is not your world, your show. Like I get it. You have natural desires that I've given to you, but you got to go at my plan. I'm like, we can make our own plans, but it's the Lord who orders our steps.
Right. So good. All right. So again, May 2nd. Be on the lookout. Make sure you subscribe. These conversations, I want to end every one of my episodes as I want people to come for the conversation, but stay for the transformation. Because I think everyone's story and their eyes, like I cannot ever be in what you've witnessed your whole life. And we all have so much powerful testimonies. And opinions and visions and ideas. And I just know that things that you've said, like, allow God to be used, this whole space to touch who He wanted to touch, get this invite to you so you don't miss the second, and what He's going to continue to do through you, because 200 people is not a small feat. And that is just an incredible, like, stepping stone.
I appreciate it. Thank
I'm
you a
so
lot.
proud of you. It's not easy, it's hard, but it's so refreshing because it reminds us to drop all of this extra stuff that we carry that don't even matter.
Exactly.
When we come together and really just talk rawness and realness of what God's doing in our life, like, why am I even worried about that? That don't even hold no weight. And here I am.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm like, God holds the weight. That's the only weight you need.
That's the only weight you need. All right, so a little quick rapid fire. You can't think about it. It's just this or that.
Okay.
Choose one or the other.
All right.
All right. So it's just like instant. All right.
Okay.
Calling or comfort?
Calling.
Peace or passion?
Peace.
Healing or loving first?
Loving first.
Yeah, we already talked about the heart.
It's that love, girl. I got to do the love.
It's the love. Give me the love. Solo date or a girls' night?
Ooh, girls' night.
Me too. Soft or hustle season?
Soft.
Yes. Text back or I'll respond later?
I'll respond later.
Yeah.
Because, girl, going back to the peace, Shana.
Right. So. Pray first or you venting first?
Pray first.
Okay. That's good. Yeah, because, sometimes we can get caught up and I'm like, all right, I need to tell you what happened. I'm like, wait a minute. Did I even take it to the person who already knew it?
We've been at 3 hours. And I'm like, girl, you didn't even pray yet. But okay. It happens.
It's both sometimes.
Yes.
It's both. Oh, so good. Thank you so much. Make sure y'all subscribe. Go follow Dyiah Hill, Miss Dyiah, honey, and check out her community. Community people are wanting to be so reclusive lately. I feel, social media's taken that real connection away. But there is a community for you, and it could very be hers that you're looking for. So go check it out.
Yes.
Thank you for being here.
Of course. Thank you so much, Shana.
Yes, baby. Thank you.
Of course.
Oh.